Hey guys, welcome back to Click Academics. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to solve this exponential equation. Now make sure to stick until the end of the problem, where I have 3 bonus problems that are similar to this one, which you guys can try to solve. Alright, so I have square root of 3 to the power of x is equal to 81. Now the square root of 3, this is the same thing as 3 to the power of 1/2. So now I have 3 to the power of 1/2 to the power of x is equal to 81. Now if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m times n. So in this case, 3 to the power of 1/2 to the power of x, that's going to equal 3 to the power of 1/2 times x, which is simply 3 to the power of x over 2. So I have 3 to the power of x over 2 is equal to 81. Now, 81, this is going to be the same thing as 3 to the power of 4, because 3 to the power of 4, that's 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, 9 times 3 is 27, and 27 times 3 is 81. So now I'm going to replace 81 with 3 to the power of 4. So now I have 3 to the power of x over 2 is equal to 3 to the power of 4. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m is equal to a to the power of n, then this means that m is equal to n. So in this case, I have 3 to the power of x over 2 is equal to 3 to the power of 4, and notice how both of these bases are the same. Both have 3's for bases, meaning that the exponents, x over 2 and 4, these are equal to each other as well. So I have x over 2 is equal to 4. And now this is just a simple equation to solve. All I have to do is multiply both sides by 2. So then these two cancel out, and I'm left with x is equal to 4 times 2, which is 8. So now to check, I have the square root of 3 to the power of x is equal to 81. So we know that x is equal to 8, so now I have the square root of 3 to the power of 8 is equal to 81. Now remember, the square root of 3, that's the same thing as 3 to the power of 1/2. So now I have 3 to the power of 1/2 to the power of 8 is equal to 81. Now this is the same thing as 3 to the power of 1/2 times 8 is equal to 81. 8 times 1/2 is 4, so I have 3 to the power of 4 is equal to 81, and 3 to the power of 4 is 81. So I have 81 is equal to 81, and this is right, so my solution is right. Alright, so I have 8 to the power of x plus 1 plus 8 to the power of x is equal to 72. So I want to find the value of x here. So for my solution, first start with 8 to the power of x plus 1 plus 8 to the power of x is equal to 72. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m plus n, this is equal to a to the power of m times a to the power of n. So 8 to the power of x plus 1, that's going to equal 8 to the power of x times 8 to the power of 1. So now I have this plus 8 to the power of x is equal to 72. Now from here, because both of these terms have 8 to the power of x, I'm going to factor out 8 to the power of x. So now I have 8 to the power of x times, well, 8 to the power of x times 8 to the power of 1 divided by 8 to the power of x, simply 8 to the power of 1, plus 8 to the power of x divided by 8 to the power of x is 1. Now this is equal to 72. Now, 8 to the power of 1 is the same thing as 8, so 8 plus 1, that's going to equal 9. So I have 8 to the power of x times 9 is equal to 72. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 9, so then these two cancel out. Now I'm left with 8 to the power of x is equal to 72 divided by 9, which is 8. Now, 8 here, this is the same thing as 2 to the power of 3. So if I replace 8 with 2 to the power of 3, I get 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is equal to a to the power of m times n. So 2 to the power of 3 to the power of x, that's going to equal 2 to the power of 3 times x, which is simply 2 to the power of 3x, which is equal to 2 to the power of 3. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m is equal to a to the power of n, this means that m is equal to n. So in this case, 3x is equal to 3. So I have 3x is equal to 3. So to solve this, I'm going to divide both sides by 3. These two cancel out. Now I'm left with x is equal to 3 divided by 3, which is 1. So this is my answer. So now to check, I have 8 to the power of x plus 1 plus 8 to the power of x is equal to 72. I know that x equals 1, so 8 to the power of 1 plus 1 plus 8 to the power of 1 is equal to 72. 8 to the power of 1 plus 1 is the same thing as 8 to the power of 2, which is 64, plus 8 to the power of 1 is 8, is equal to 72. 64 plus 8 is 72. So if 72 is equal to 72, and because this is right, my solution is right. Alright, so I have 16 to the power of x is equal to 32. So right here, I want to find the value of x. So for my solution, first start with 16 to the power of x is equal to 32. So 16, this is the same thing as 2 to the power of 4. And 32, since we want to make both of these the same base, I need to find what power of 2 makes 32. Well, 2 to the power of 5, this is going to be double of 16, and double of 16 is 32. So 32 is equal to 2 to the power of 5. So now if I replace 2 to the power of 4 for 16 and 2 to the power of 5 for 32, I get 2 to the power of 4 to the power of x is equal to 2 to the power of 5. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m to the power of n, this is the same thing as a to the power of m times n. So in this case, I have 2 to the power of 4 to the power of x. So that's going to be equal to 2 to the power of 4 times x, and 4 times x, that's the same thing as 4x. So now I have 2 to the power of 4x is equal to 2 to the power of 5. Now, if I have something in the form a to the power of m is equal to a to the power of n, then this means that m is equal to n. So in this case, as you can see, both of these bases are the same. So if that's true, then that means both the exponents are the same as well, meaning 4x is equal to 5. So I have 4x is equal to 5, and this is a simple equation to solve. All I have to do is divide both sides by 4, these two cancel out, and I'll be left with x is equal to 5 over 4. So this is my answer. So now to check, my original equation was 16 to the power of x is equal to 32. And I know x equals 5 over 4, so I have 16 to the power of 5 over 4 is equal to 32. So now, 16, that's the same thing as 2 to the power of 4. So I have 2 to the power of 4 to the power of 5 over 4 is equal to 32. Now, this is the same thing as 2 to the power of 4 times 5 over 4 is equal to 32. These two 4's cancel out, so now I'm left with 2 to the power of 5 is equal to 32. 2 to the power of 5 is 32, so if 32 is equal to 32, and this is right, so my solution is right. Alright, so in this video, I'm going to solve the equation x to the power of 4 minus 16 is equal to 0. So, my only variable in this equation is x, so that's the variable I'm going to be solving for. And now for my solution. What I'm first going to do is rewrite x to the power of 4 as x to the power of 2 times 2. So now I have x to the power of 2 times 2 minus 16 is equal to 0. Now from here, if I have something in the form a to the power of m times n, this is equal to a to the power of m to the power of n. So x to the power of 2 times 2 is equal to x to the power of 2 to the power of 2. And I have this minus 16 is equal to 0. Now from here, I'm going to rewrite 16 as 4 squared. So now I have x to the power of 2 to the power of 2 minus 4 squared is equal to 0. And if I have something in the form a squared minus b squared, this is equal to a plus b times a minus b. So in this case, a is x squared and b is 4. So this turns into x squared plus 4 times x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. Now I can divide this into two equations. I have x squared plus 4 is equal to 0, and x squared minus 4 is equal to 0. So for x squared plus 4 equals 0, I'm going to subtract 4 on both sides. So I get x squared is equal to negative 4. And now I'm going to take the square root on both sides. The square root of x squared is simply x. So I get x equals the square root of negative 4. Now the square root of negative 4 is the same thing as the square root of 4 times the square root of negative 1. And the square root of negative 1 is equal to I, so I get x is equal to 2i. And this is positive or negative. Now for x squared minus 4 equals 0, I'm going to simply add 4 on both sides. So I get x squared is equal to positive 4. And now if I take the square root, I get x is equal to positive or negative 2. So my four solutions are x equals 2i, x equals negative 2i, x equals 2, and x equals negative 2.